Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for April 8, 2013. I'd like to remind everyone, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition, that you please sign in with your name and address before addressing the board. First matter before us is under continuance. This is ZB 2012-52. And the petition's a variance. The applicant is George C. Elides Jr., property located at 1857 Middlesex Street. And the petition is to demolish and renovate portions of an existing building along with the construct additions and accessory structures for a new school use without meeting frontage requirements pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, Mr. Elides.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. George C. Elides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. I'm actually going a step better than requesting a continuance tonight. I want to let the board know that one of the reasons why we've been moving along, well, two reasons. Number one, we wanted to make sure we got all our ducks lined up with the planning board and everything there. And I don't know how many of you have been following it or how many of you care in that sense, but we finally got all our permitting done. Turns out we were going to build off of the current building, but once the engineers and all of those people get in there, they said, no, if you're going to meet the standards for earthquakes and hurricanes and all of that stuff, and you want to go fast, you're just as well off probably doing some pre-build stuff and put it on there. So, but the most important thing was we were coming before you because there were issues as to whether or not the two entryways in there sufficed for frontage. It was always my position that they did. But irrespective of that, I told the city I would come before the board in case, just to clean the record, shall we say. In the meantime, it turns out that for a variety of reasons, there became available another piece of land with frontage on Middlesex Street, which abuts our property, and it made the whole kit and caboodle a lot better because there's more things that my clients can do with the land for the school. So we ran that all by the Department of Planning and Development, and everybody got the understanding of what we were doing. And in fact now, well, not now, but when the closing takes place, we'll have more than adequate frontage, and the Department of Planning and Development has confirmed that. So I'm here this evening with, I guess you might say, good news. We don't even need to go any further. I'm going to ask to withdraw without prejudice. The withdrawal without prejudice in case for some crazy, bizarre reason something else happens and I have to come back, but I really don't anticipate that happening. So that's my request. It's probably my fastest presentation before the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've actually spoken more than I thought I was going to say this evening, but there I am, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you gentlemen have, if any.
You did mention that if something out of the ordinary transpired, I guess I'm going to assume nothing's going to transpire, that you'd have to come back here again, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to open it up to the public to see if anybody has any comments. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. I'll just open it up to the board and see if there's any questions at all.
Sure.
Mr. Ladies. Dennis, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Kevin?
No questions or comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Gary?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Dan?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
See, we can be just as fast as you. In less words. Yes.
I'm impressed, Mr. Bailey. I'm impressed.
So with that said, I'm glad to hear that you're able to come to this conclusion, and I'd like to have a motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, and the matter before us is ZBA 2012-52 at 1857 Middlesex Street for a variance, and make a motion to approve a withdrawal without prejudice.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Hearn.
Approve.
Mr. Bailey.
Approved.
Mr. McCarthy.
Approve.
Mr. Peck.
Approve.
Mr. Perrin.
Approve.
Okay, Mr. Ladies, been approved. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you all very much. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, our next matter before us is under new business. This is ZB 2013-10. The petition is a special permit. The applicant is Sarah Quigley. The property is located at 32 Jackson Street. And the petition is to convert currently vacant commercial space into a dog daycare business pursuant to Article 12, Table of Uses. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. Before we proceed, Kevin, you'd like to address the board, please?
Sure, just through you, Mr. Chairman, I own a piece of property that abuts the space that you're gonna be renting, so it was advised that I recuse myself just from the hearing for that matter, as a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have to explain something procedurally now. There are 5 members here tonight. Kevin's recused himself, so that leaves us with 4 members. The way we proceed at this point here is if you, in order to go ahead, you have to have all 4 voting members approve this petition in order to go forward. The other alternative you have is you could have this continued and wait till we have a larger quorum. And with that said, then at that point, you wouldn't need a 4-0 vote. You could have 4-5 or something like that. So I just, it's not common or usual that we run into this. And so I have to explain that to you. If you don't get a 4-0 vote, then it becomes fatal, and you'd have to wait another 2 years.
Okay.
So with that said, if you need a few minutes to think about it, or
Well, I believe I'll go forward because if Mr. Belanger comes in, he would have to recuse himself because he was a former tenant at
Yep.
that building. So
okay.
it might be, I would imagine that he would have to do that, so.
Well, I can't speak for Mr. Belanger. I can just tell you who's here tonight. So if you'd like to proceed, that's...
I would like to proceed.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So why don't you tell us about your petition?
My petition is to change the 32 Jackson Street, the first floor, which is vacant recently. It was formerly a restaurant/bar, into a dog daycare and grooming facility. There's very little areas for that in Lowell right now. There is one groomer and daycare that's that's on the Tingsboro-Lowell line. And then there's, in Chelmsford, there's a doggy daycare center, which is in PetSmart. But there's nothing for the people that live in downtown Lowell or in this area. So I've talked to a lot of the dog owners in the area that they would be really looking forward to a small business that does just daycare, no overnight, no boarding of any kind for dogs, and then grooming as well.
Yeah, and when I read through, I guess I'll call it your summary about starting up the business, you talked about your experience as working as a technician, if I
I've
believe.
been working in the veterinary field for almost 10 years now. I'm a manager at the Tewksbury Animal Hospital, and I've been doing that for about 6.5 years. And I also do dog sitting, dog walking, pet sitting on the side of that business. So I have a lot of experience with dog behavior, groups of dogs, dog walking, things of that nature, grooming as well.
Okay. As far as the address goes, we were given 32 Jackson. I know the lease says 32-34.
It's
34, when I looked at the building, looks like it's where the restaurant bar used to be. So is it number
It would-
34?
I'd have to. 34 Jackson Street is the first floor.
Okay.
I guess 32
it's-
is the
Right,
the
it's-
apartments.
And it's the first floor plus the basement, is that?
The first floor would be the primarily used for the business. The basement would be there's an office space and then storage.
So Joe, I just want to reflect that it is 34. That's just an observation I had made through the paperwork. Is there residential in the building, do you know?
There are 3 apartments. There's a second floor apartment, and then there are 2 apartments on the 3rd floor.
Okay. So that would probably be the number 32 entrance?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Joe, did we receive any comments from any of the city departments?
No, I didn't receive any comments from any other city departments.
Okay, so everybody was notified, the regular listing? Okay. Yeah, because just one thing I had taken a look at was, the health department. I mean, we haven't had too many, well, I'm not even sure how many we've had. We've had a few different proposals to this, but, so there were no comments that came back from health department, for instance?
No, typically a lot more regulations are kind of triggered once you start into getting overnight, an overnight type of business. Where this wasn't an overnight type of business, it didn't trigger a number of things that fire or health would typically look at
Yep.
in that type of proposal.
Okay. Well, I think at this point, do you have anything else you want to add at this point?
No,
Okay, that's fine.
thank you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to the public first, and then the board will address it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you for hearing my case.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone here to like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Dennis?
3, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple questions for you, Sarah, if I could. By the way, I think this is a great idea.
Thank you.
For the location. I think that you're right, there's a long overlooked need here, so.
Thank you.
A few questions about the process here. So you're going to not have overnight, but what would the hours be like for the operation?
I haven't completely set them, but most likely they would be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m., but definitely 8 p.m. would be the latest, because I'm looking to do it as people go to work, so drop them off when they're going to work, pick them up on their way home, since there's no need to do an overnight type deal. And most of the dog daycares in the area have very similar hours. And then Sundays would probably be closed at 5 or 6, if open at all.
Is there like a valet parking or something available for drop-off? How would the drop-off exactly work?
What I'm planning to do is, the owners of the property are gonna try to apply for a drop-off on Moulton Ave. If that doesn't work, I have no problem paying for,
Delivery.
with the garage doing like a validation type deal. And I also plan on offering a pick-up and drop-off service.
Okay. How many dogs do you expect to have at the facility?
I expect to have no more than 20, but on average, I'm looking at about 10.
And then how many employees are you going to have besides yourself?
That depends. To start off, there's going to be at least, I would think, 3 or 4 of us in addition to myself, and then a groomer that I'll work out the details with. The groomer is going to be a separate kind of issue.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Now, you're trained as a veterinary technician, is that right?
Yes.
So would the daycare also be providing any, like, shots or anything of that
Not
nature?
in terms of any kind of veterinary services, because I'm not licensed for that. I do work with a veterinarian that does travel, and she has offered to come in, and if there's an illness or something that needs to be addressed right away. I also I will be working with the animal hospital and the ad to provide emergency services. The only thing that I will provide, which is allowed by my license, is that I can medicate animals that have already been issued medications from a veterinarian, and that I'm more than comfortable doing.
Okay. The grooming station, is that also a washing and what kind of?
At
process
first,
is there?
I'm going to just offer self-grooming, which is the kind of new, kind of evolving industry out there, where they have the tub set up, and you pay a fee and you do it yourself, and I clean up the mess so that you don't have that mess to do. I provide the shampoo and the conditioner and the towels and dryer or whatnot. But I am trying to contract with a professional groomer to do cuts and whatnot a couple days a week.
Okay. I think I had one final one, now it escapes me. Waste. How is the dog waste being taken care of?
Anything that is done, any poop that will be picked up in dog bags, I'll have a ready supply of those. I use the scented bags myself so that it doesn't smell as much, and then that will be transferred into bigger plastic bags, which will be brought to the dumpster. I've already talked to the dumpster company that the building uses, and they're no problems picking up waste of that nature. And right now they have a pickup once a week, but if I needed a twice a week or even 3 times a week pickup just to make sure that there's no smell, they would be fine with that. And then in terms of the urine, I do plan on using a spray that's an organic spray. It's basically an enzyme based spray that breaks down the enzyme in pet urine to make sure that there's no smell and there's no after effect that's like staining any of the grasses or greens around. And it's non-toxic to people, pets, and plants.
Where is the dumpster located?
It's on Moulton Ave currently, on the side of the building, on what would be the sidewalk. It's kind of an alley.
Okay, so there's a 25-foot alley there now?
Yes.
And so there currently is a dumpster there now, is that what you're saying?
There's several dumpsters there, but yes, the building's dumpster is located right there.
Okay, terrific. Well, I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin? Sleep at the wheel. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I do agree this is a unique business for the downtown, and I think you'll probably do very well there.
Thank you.
Being a pet owner. The questions I had were answered. The questions I had for the interior is how are you gonna house them? Are they gonna be free?
I will have some cages, but it's mostly going to be a cage-free type environment for dogs. I do plan on working with doing construction inside to make temporary space so that I can have at least 3 different spots using, I forget what it's called. It's half housing, like temporary walls, so that the dogs can, if one dog doesn't get along with another dog, to separate them and put them in a different space rather than taking them out entirely out of the group. So have little different size rooms inside that large room in the back, so that they can have mostly play. And then there'll be some cages for if dogs are tired or need a break to go and rest in the cage.
In your narrative, you referred to dog walking. You're going to primarily use Jackson Street as a walking space?
Primarily, yes.
Okay. Okay, those are the questions I have, through Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Gary, Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I also think this is a unique and good business
Thank you.
For the city. Most of the questions I had were answered, but I was just wondering, how are the prices set, or what are the rates, I guess, for...
I
Just
haven't
curious.
completely set my rates, but I plan to be very competitive with some of the local dog daycares in other areas. I'm thinking right now that the daily rate will be $26 for the day, and then about $20 for half a day. As far as the grooming rates, I haven't quite made a decision on that, because that will be based on what the groomer is going to want to be paid, and a split 50-50 for those.
Okay. And one other question. I know it's a dog daycare. Do you see in future, like, including other pets in there, like cats or anything else?
Probably not for the daycare part of it. Cats generally don't like to play with other cats that they haven't been surrounded with, and there are people that do like cat boarding facilities, but I don't see that going into my business at all. I strictly want to be a daycare facility, and mostly because I have a puppy myself that likes to run around with other dogs, and I pay for daycare right now with him, and I know that the interactions that he gets with that are very valuable for his socialization, and it's very valuable for socialization of all dogs.
Well, no, thank you, Mrs. Quigley.
Thank you.
I do support this. I think this is a good business, so.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I do definitely support this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Pam. I guess the last thing I'll just run through. Joe, did Ms. Quigley receive the comments from the city?
Yes, a little late, just because there was some confusion on our end of who was actually going to be covering the meeting tonight, but she did receive them, yes.
Okay. Did you happen to bring with you the comments from the city, or do you have a copy?
Yeah, I received that.
Okay. I just want to cover just one area
Absolutely.
on the second page, under specific comments.
Yes.
Number 3, it talks about the soundproofing. I know you were explaining about the build out of the walls for the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to the soundproofing?
I was going to add soundproofing in, especially for the tenants that are upstairs, but I was made aware after I made my permit application by the building's owner that there is some soundproofing already installed, and he feels that that's sufficient enough for the buildings. There's soundproofing on each floor, underneath the floor. But if there is a call for more, if the tenants feel like they're not unhappy with the level of excitement from the dogs, that I would be more than happy to put in additional soundproofing on the ceiling.
Right. So you did review that with the
I did,
the landlord? Yeah.
Yes.
Which probably could be, that's probably possible. You might have had bands in there at one time, or...
Yeah, he said from it being the bar, he had to install some soundproofing when he remodeled.
Yeah, so I don't think that's anything we need to explore. That's why I wanted to ask if you had seen the comments. Well, I think based on your presentation, I think you did a nice job with the write-up that you did, talking about, is this your first time with your first business? Yeah, well, you're doing a very good job, so. No, you did a nice job presenting what you're planning to do.
Thank you.
I know you addressed, I know the comments that I had, questions I had, I know you addressed the questions that the board members had. The only thing I would, so I think it's a great idea. I also think it's a need that the city has. As far as the special permit, you pretty much meet the requirements that we have with that. There's a community need. You address the parking. You address there's also maybe even pickup of the dogs and transporting them. Sounds like you're going to be employing a couple other people to assist you. Now, the 7 to 7 hours, did you say, was that Monday through Friday, or is that a Monday?
It would be Monday through Saturday, 7 to
Saturday.
7, and then most likely 7 to 5 or 7 to 6 on Sunday, but I haven't committed.
Okay,
but
so,
it's 7 to 7 to 7 to 8, just depending on the need of the clients if they have to. But most people most dog daycares go till about 7.
yep. Okay, so closed on Sundays, right?
If there's not a need, I will close on Sundays. If there's a need, it would be like 8
Okay.
to 5.
So we'll just put that in as a condition as far as
Okay.
the hours of operation.
Okay.
It's kind of a standard procedure for this board, so
Yes.
so why don't we just put 7 to 8 for each of the days if she has
Mm-hmm.
to, Monday through Saturday. And the other conditions, and that'll be on that page 2, is numbers under general comments 1 and 2, which talked about the work starting up. If you
Yeah.
can, if you're all set with those. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other comments from any other board members?
Did I hear that Sunday you were going to be open?
Well, it sounded
haven't-
like as-needed basis.
Yeah,
That's news based.
typically, I wanted to try and not have Sunday open just so I can have a day off. But if it becomes a need, but most people are home on Sundays, and if it becomes a need, then I would open, but it would be only 8 to 5, so that it would be a much shorter day.
See, if you work for Dennis, so you'd have you working 7 days a week, as a slave driver. Dan, do you have any comments? Okay. Could I have a motion, please?
I lost you for a minute. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Matter before ZB 2013-10 at 32 Jackson Street for a special permit. Make a motion to approve with the following conditions. 1, no work shall commence until a decision letter has been recorded at the Registry of Deeds, Middlesex North, and the recording information has been submitted to the Lowell Division of Development Services Office. 2, any approval and condition of said approval shall apply to any successor in control or successor in interest of the property described in the special permit application and accompanying plan submitted to the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals. And 3, the hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Could I have a second?
Second the motion.
Could I have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approve with conditions?
Mr. Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin.
Approved with conditions.
Okay, Ms. Quigley, been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the board. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next matter before us is under other business. This is an amendment to prior approval for the following project. CB 2012-24, the petition was a special permit for signs. The applicant is Dennis Scannell. The property is located at 41 Tanner Street, and the petition was to install an internally illuminated billboard within 50 feet of a wetland or water body. The property is in the light industrial district pursuant to section 5.2.3 and section 6.3.4 on the zoning ordinance. Scannell, how are you? So we were given, I guess, the notification, Conservation took a look at this, and I'll let you update us from there.
Well, there's a minor problem developed. First of all, my name is Dennis Scannell from 271 Sanders Ave in the Highlands of Lowell. That's my residence. The property is located at 41 Tanner Street. On the advice of Ms. Joseph from Planning and Development, we are locating a billboard on Tanner Street. However, we did find a very deep sewer that's, I think, 28 feet deep. And Peter Maloney from the engineer's office in Lowell recommended that although the sewer was put in, I think, 130 years ago, it has never been repaired or changed, or it's flowing perfectly. But if it ever had to be dug up or worked on, they would have to dig a real wide hole. So he recommended that we move the pole 40 feet in one direction away from the existing sewer line. But the sewer line is way down. And to go along with the city, we certainly we did that. And we redrew the plan. We had the engineers go out, and we submitted the plan that satisfied conservation, and they were very happy. So that's where we are now. We just have to move the pole. All the other conditions were met with the conservation and the neighborhood groups and the whole bit. So that's where we are now. I don't know technical things about engineers and whatever, but it seems to be a pretty easy move, and it's actually a better location to move it. Same distance from the wetlands, and we're going to have the planting schedule that they wanted, and we had to move it 40 feet. But I don't think in our lifetime that they would ever have to change the sewer. It's worked perfectly since the end of the 1800s. So, but it's a big one. It connects Chelmsford and goes all the way to Duck Island. So I think it's a good move, and if we can help the city in that way, we're happy to do so.
Great. Well, I guess never say never, right?
Oh, yeah. This has been 9 years.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just, kind of a side thing. When we first started coming here, Jack Knox was one of the members of the board. And we understand how hard you guys work, and it's a very difficult position. But he was a wonderful, wonderful person. And although this has nothing to do with the meeting tonight, I just miss him dearly, and he was such a great person in the city of Lowell. And I don't know if he got the attention that he deserved after he's gone, but he's a wonderful person, and we miss him dearly. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate those comments, and I sat next to Jack while he was on the board with me, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to the public at this point, if you have nothing to add. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify this. We have a plan in front of us from the Dana Perkins, and I think the last revision is February 20th, 2013.
I'm not sure if you have the new one. That's a real good question. She had told me that she was going to submit the new plans.
So
and,
this is February 20th, so most likely it's
what's
not
it-
then,
Probably it.
right? Because the new plan would have been March, if not April.
If the tree plantings are not in a straight line, that's the new plan. Hold on, let me just take one back. Yeah, that's it.
This is the new one. Well, I'm glad you clarified that.
They wanted we originally had the new trees going in on a straight line, and they suggested in conservation that we stagger them, and that's on that plan.
This looks like a nice solution, so I see no issues at all with the 40 feet. I'm glad you have the plan updated, so.
But we have a bigger plan too, that's a
fine,
smaller
that's
one.
fine. Makes sense to me, so
Okay.
look forward to this if it goes through. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have no questions on it. Good luck with it. It's been a long time coming.
It's been good though, working with the city, they've been very good, they really have. And Ms. Joseph was doing a great job. Planning and development, very nice.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, knowing that these are the updated plans, I wish the petitioner best of luck. I have no questions.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so the set of plans we have in front of us dated February 20th, the latest.
Those are the right
correct?
ones, yeah.
Okay. And Ben?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, Ms. Scannell, I think this board's all set, and so Joe, are we just taking the changes as proposed? Are we voting on this as an update to the special permit?
Yes, the board have to vote to accept it as a minor change. It seems like that's the direction the board is going.
Okay, so there's no conditions, is there?
No, with a minor change, any conditions of a prior approval would still apply.
Okay. So, if I could have a motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZB 2013-24 at 41 Tanner Street for a special permit. I make a motion to approve and accept the updated plans as a minor change.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Approve.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approve.
Mr. Peck,
Approve.
Mr. Perrin.
Approved.
Okay, Mr. Scannell, it's been approved. Wish you the
Thank
best
you
of
very
luck.
much, gentlemen, and
Yep.
it's going to be a good project.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, our next matter before us is for the minutes of March 25th, 2013. Any comments from any board members? No? Could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes of our meeting on March 25th, 2013.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, approved. Next matter is the annual meeting, election of officers. I would like to defer that to our April 22nd, 2013 meeting with the absence of Mr. Belanger tonight. So Joe, is this something we have to take a vote on? To continue
Yeah, there
this?
should be a vote, just
Okay.
a motion to continue it.
Yeah, so could I have a motion to continue to April 22nd, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue the election vote until our next meeting, April 23rd,
22nd.
22nd.
Do I have a second?
Second motion?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Continue.
Mr. Bailey,
Continue.
Mr. McCarthy,
Continue.
Mr. Peck,
Continue.
Mr. Perrin.
Continue.
Okay, any other matters, any comments from the board? Hearing none, like the motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second?
Second?
So moved. Have a good evening.